Oh, his family died. Oh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. But that neighbor, he's not as innocent as everyone makes him out to be, right? Don't trust him. There's so much to talk about. Hey, your boy representing, huh? Sorry, that's not a Doki video. This is a Hello Neighbor video, alright? Cool your jets, Michael. Hey guys, Bijuu Mike here. Welcome back to another Hello Neighbor theory video. I am so excited to be making this video right now because for one, I just finished reading the Hello Neighbor books, both of them, alright? I actually read both of them in the span of like 2 days, okay? And you're probably wondering why I'm bringing up the books in the first place is because these books say so much about Hello Neighbor, and it's just so important to talk about. As you guys may already know, Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek just recently came out at the beginning of this month. We did a full playthrough of it. If you guys missed those episodes of Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, it's really important that you check them out, or at least play the game yourself if you're not already. I encourage you guys to play it for yourself, but if you just want to watch a playthrough of it, I will link the playlist right here of Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek or Hello Neighbor, so you guys can get up to date, okay? Just go watch it. No, they did really well, guys. Thank you so much for the support on Hello Neighbor. That's another reason why I wanted to make this, okay? I gotta give some major credit to Fangirl Vlogs. They randomly sent this to me on Twitter. They made a Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, and it was a really good theory video. Honestly, like, it has 29 views, but it really deserves a lot more views, okay? And after I watched it, I think they're a subscriber, and it was just a really good video. She seems like a really awesome girl. I was just a big fan of how she put the video together, and it was just really well done for only having 90 subscribers. I have not seen her other videos or anything, but this video was really awesome, okay? So keep making videos. You have a knack for it, I would say. And real quick, before we get into the actual neighbor theory and all the juicy information about Hello Neighbor, I'm giving away these books. Yes, these books that I went to Barnes & Noble and purchased, I'm giving them away, and I'm also gonna sign them, alright? I don't know if people care if I sign it, but I'm gonna sign them because I want to feel important. Alright, I want to feel famous. So yeah, I'm gonna be signing these, and I'm gonna be giving them away to one of you guys. I'm giving them both away to one person because it doesn't really make sense to give two to random people, because it's like, well, what if you don't have the other book, you know? So I'm giving both of them away, and yeah. I'm not gonna ask you guys to like subscribe and do all this stuff in order to enter the giveaway. All I ask from you is to watch the video, tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below, and out of the comments, I will pick one of you guys, alright? So that's really all I ask. I'm not gonna ask you to subscribe and try to beg for subscribers. That's I'm not about that, right? Although if you do want to drop a like, I'm not going to say no. Please drop a like. Your watch time is extremely valuable, so you know there's no point asking you to subscribe if you don't care about my videos. And plus, why are you entering this contest if you don't even care about my videos? All right? You guys are freaking bullies. And if you guys couldn't tell already, I'm gonna be talking about these books, so that means major spoilers for these two books. Okay, so if you want to read them for yourself, I highly suggest that you read them first before watching this video. Maybe click away, go watch some of my other Hello Neighbor videos, pick up the book, read them for yourself. They're only 200 pages long, really easy to read. I read the first book in one sitting, and the other one, I got busy, so I couldn't read it in one sitting, but it only takes a few hours per book. So just throwing that out there. Major Hello Neighbor spoilers in every area of Hello Neighbor. Okay, let's get started. Now, the first book is called Hello Neighbor Missing Pieces. Now, this is literally the perfect title that they could have titled this book, because the first book, Hello Neighbor Missing Pieces, holds so much information about things that we don't know about in the actual game of Hello Neighbor, such as everyone's name, the family's names, their personalities, the relationships between the characters. It's just really amazing. And for one, I actually enjoyed like thoroughly reading both of these books, and I could not put them down. That's why I read them in like one sitting. So Carly Ann West, the author, did really well. And again, guys, I've already confirmed with Tiny Build in my last Hello Neighbor theory video that this story is canon. There might be a few little like details that might not be the exact same, but overall the story of the book is the story that's meant to be told of Hello Neighbor. The book starts out with Nicky Roth, which is the main character of Hello Neighbor, and I'm talking about the actual game of Hello Neighbor as well. His name is Nicky, just in case you guys didn't know that. And it starts off with him and his parents moving from the town that they lived. I forgot the exact name, that part's really not important, and they moved to Raven Brooks. Now, Raven Brooks is actually the name of the city that Hello Neighbor takes place in. Now, how many times have we talked about the Ravens, guys? There's literally a cutscene in Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek that shows a raven looking at them at the end of Act 1. Even though they cut it out of the game, I still don't know why they decided to do that. But throughout all of Hello Neighbor, you see crows or ravens. I think they're the same thing, basically. And I found it interesting that the name of the city was called Raven Brooks because, you know, the only time we've ever really seen that being told was in the Hello Neighbor mod kit. It says right here, all content approved by the Ravenbrook Homeowners Association. Now that's kind of like a little joke that the developers decided to make, because like if you want to build houses, basically is what you do in the mod, you build things. It has to be approved by a homeowners association in order for you to do that. It's kind of a joke because like that's how it is in real life. Like to build things, it has to be approved by, you know, people. Now when I first read this, I was freaking out because I was like, oh, the Ravens, we've been seeing the Ravens, so what does it all mean? Turns out the Ravenbrook Homeowners Association is not some like secret organization or anything like that. It's literally just the town name. Now trust me when I tell you that Ravenbrook is not just a name that just got picked out of nowhere. Ravens actually signify death. Maybe I should go back just a little bit. It actually means bad luck. It says right here, in Greek mythology, ravens are associated with Apollo, the god of prophecy. They are said to be the symbol of bad luck. And what do you know? After the first chapter of Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, when, you know, it's all a happy family, you know, we all both know that that changes really fast. And that's why you see the raven there, and then it leaves, and it's just like all like mysterious. It's simple as that bad luck is coming the neighbor's family's way, which we all know it's really bad luck, okay? Now with the crows originally, I thought that there was a secret organization making the neighbor crazy and making bad things happen to them. Oh yeah, there's a raven right there, by the way. They're everywhere, man. And so yeah, I thought there was a secret organization after the neighbor family just wanting to ruin their lives for whatever reason. But it turns out, no, I don't think that's true at all anymore. And also, you know last episode how we were throwing the neighbor a pity party? Cut that crap out! Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, it portrays like the neighbor is going through such a hard time in his life, but let me tell you how big of a lie that actually is, alright? I have so much information in my head that I want to get out. And let me tell you, okay, I think it was intentional that Tiny Build, our dynamic pixels, they wanted you to think, they wanted you to feel sorry for the neighbor. Oh, his family died. Oh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. My family died. I realize that sounds really horrible. But that neighbor, he's not as innocent as everyone makes him out to be, right? Don't trust him.
Now, Michael, why are you saying that about the poor neighbor? He lost his kids, he lost his wife, and he was crying.
Well, that's where Hello Neighbor Missing Pieces comes in, alright? Allow me to tell you about the neighbor's past. Again, spoiler alert for the books. Mr. Neighbor, or should I say, Theodore Masters Peterson. Theodore is his name. Theodore? Theodore? I was calling him Mr. Ferguson for the longest time, and his name's Theodore. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know. As it turns out, it's not a coincidence that the neighbor built such big, weird houses with all these crazy things. He actually used to be a carnival ride engineer? It's probably not the best way to put it. He's an engineer that builds things, okay? And although he's built many things in his life, he, as of lately, at least in the past, specialized in carnival rides. Or rather, theme parks. He actually built theme parks, and in Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, you know, without going too much into detail, there was something called the Golden Apple Amusement Park. And right here is actually a picture of what it looks like. I thought it was really interesting. Like, these books actually have a lot of pictures and things like that, and it was just so interesting as a fan of Hello Neighbor to see all this information. So the neighbor clearly has built a masterpiece, alright? And let me tell you, the neighbor is not out here building these little kiddie parks. No, he has the need for speed. This roller coaster's got like 50 drops on it. So you probably noticed that I said Golden Apple Amusement Park. Well, it turns out Golden Apple was a huge corporation that actually had nothing to do with the supermarket, as far as I know. In the main game of Hello Neighbor, if you go outside of the map, you can see the Golden Apple supermarket. Well, I don't think that that's actually part of the game at all, and it pretty much, I think, got scrapped, or it just never got mentioned in the book. Instead, Golden Apple was actually a factory that made candy, and they were called Golden Apples, which surprisingly enough, they're not actual real apples. It's candy. When I read that, I was like, what the heck? Golden apples are not actually apples, okay? They're actually just freaking weird candy. And it was really popular among the citizens of Ravenbrook. Well, as you know, when things get popular, you get lots of moolah, right? And so they used some of that money to expand, basically, because they had the factory, and then they're like, hey, let's do an amusement park, okay? Who are we going to hire? Oh, hello, neighbor. So they hired the neighbor, and it turns out that the neighbors actually traveled across the entire world designing these theme parks and buildings and all kinds of, you know, crazy stuff that an engineer, I suppose, slash architect or something would want to build. The reason why he was world famous is because he took things to a whole nother level and probably made pretty good money, except they were very dangerous. The Golden Apple Amusement Park opens up and just business is bustling. Everyone is absolutely loving it. You gotta remember that Ravenbrooks is a small town, so to get an amusement park is really, really exciting news. You know, I'm sure it would be for anyone. Well, very, very quickly, all of that fun that everyone was having at the Golden Apple Amusement Park came to a screeching halt. And a little girl by the name of Lucy Yee, on that fateful day, decided to take a ride on the Golden Apple roller coaster, and she died. The neighbor was so obsessed with making his roller coasters as fun as they possibly can be, he decided to skip out on the safety features, and that's what caused poor Lucy to die. Proof of him not caring about the safety features can be seen right here. He said safety features tamped the excitement down. He said emergency brakes put a drag on the speed. The man specifically mentioned emergency brakes. You're just like, we don't need emergency brakes on our roller coasters. Like, it slows it down. And I haven't even mentioned the best part about it. That's not even counting the tragedy that happened at Golden Apple Amusement Park. That was a quote from his other amusement parks that he built. He's been going around creating extremely dangerous theme parks from all around the world, but Ravenbrooks didn't know about it apparently because it was so, it was across the world, and anything that was reported over there, they just didn't know about it. They just knew that he was famous, I guess. I guess that's kind of one thing that really didn't make that much sense. And it gets worse, okay? This is why I'm saying don't feel sorry for the neighbor. No pity party for the neighbor. He killed 4 other teenagers! 4 other people! And it was another roller coaster. Never get on the roller coasters that the neighbor makes, okay? His last amusement park that he worked on, the roller coaster, it set on fire and killed 4 teenagers. Now here's where it gets really crazy. Let's go to the cutscene in the actual, main game of Hello Neighbor, the roller coaster cutscene. It makes so much sense now. This is why I wanted to talk about this stuff. This footage comes with the channel father, by the way. It's just the cutscene, so I could have literally got it myself, except I didn't want to play through the whole game in order to do that, but take a look at this. When I originally played this, I remember thinking like, oh man, there was that concept art of the neighbor being a clown, so maybe originally he was supposed to be a clown at one point, but instead he's an engineer or a designer of these things. Now, it's interesting because we actually go to this amusement park. This is one of his amusement parks. Okay, this right here, that's, I have a lot to say about that as well, but let me come back to that. Now, this could be one of his past amusement parks, or it could be a reference to the Golden Apple Amusement Park. I don't think that part's really that important to consider. It's just an amusement park. Now, one of the craziest things, remember I talked about the 4 people that died? There's 4 different shadows on this wall. And then we have one more right here in a cage. I don't know if there's a correlation between that, but I just thought that was really interesting. The fact that it's reported that 4 other teenagers died, and then we have 4 people right here all together. I just think that it's probably a big coincidence. I don't really know, or maybe it's not. Also, you have like these little silhouettes as well. I noticed that they're in distress in a cage. They shouldn't be in a cage. It's just more proof that people suffered because of what the neighbor created. Also, note that there's a little girl here. I think that's probably a representation of Lucy. That's just my guess. Or it could be the neighbor's daughter. I would like to believe that it's Lucy because it just makes sense. I haven't took a look at this cutscene in quite a while, but this goes through the neighbor's life basically. Now this part is when everything was good. You could hear the kids laughing. This is, remember the table from, hide and seek? It was all intact. That's when you hear everything laughing. It's all sound cues basically. And this is when the mother died in the car accident. Listen. So that's when the tragedy struck. Okay. Did you hear that? Listen to this again. You can hear when the son pushed the daughter down the ledge or whatever in the ending of Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek. My mind was blown when I seen this, because the ending of Hide and Seek was actually in the main game all along, and we just didn't know what it meant. There was literally nothing we could have gone off of other than just these random theories, and hopefully MatPat puts out a video. That's all we could have said back then, but now we have basically all the information we need. But I know most people aren't going to go through the trouble of reading these books, and I think really should, but that's why I wanted to actually read them for myself and talk to you guys with it, the ones that I know are probably never going to pick up a book in your life. What's wrong with you? I'm sorry, it's a joke. Now, one last thing with this cutscene is this part right here. Now, okay, I think this has a double meaning. Obviously, it's probably symbolizing that the daughter's gonna die by being pushed down. That's what it obviously could mean. But I also think the double meaning is the girl Lucy. It's gotta be her, right? She died on a roller coaster. She was a single girl that died on a roller coaster. And I think the specific way that she died was going up a loop, and she just flew out. She just flew out of the thing. Like, that's terrifying. That's why I'm personally terrified to go to Six Flags, because I hate roller coasters, and I think that that's actually going to happen to me. I really mean that. Because when you're on these death machines, you're trusting the people that are designing and making them with your life. And poor little Lucy did the same thing. And you've seen what happened to her. You seen what happened to her, right? By the way, this is actually what Lucy looks like. There she is. I don't know if I showed that or not. Now, my question is, why wasn't Lucy mentioned in Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek whatsoever? She plays such a big part in the story. I have no idea why they decided not to include her in there. I feel like they cut so much out of the actual game, and they weren't able to make it what they actually wanted it to be, and so they used the book basically to tell the story that they wanted to tell. I think it's probably a budget issue, because there was a lot cut out, such as the factory. The Golden Apple Factory is supposed to be a level. There was traces of it in the mod, in the Hello Neighbor mod kit. I made a video on that quite a long time ago, but yeah, they decided to cut the factory part, and that's sad, because that is such a big part of Hello Neighbor's story. I don't know how they could possibly cut it out, but they did. So now you're probably wondering, why didn't the neighbor get arrested and go to jail? Well, it turns out that they actually went through a whole court thing and went through a long process trying to get that figured out. They didn't know whether to blame the neighbor for designing it that way, or they didn't know whether to blame the Golden Apple Corporation, because they were the one funding it and, you know, in charge of building it and all that stuff. Well, as it turns out, the neighbor actually got off scot-free and wasn't blamed for it. But people, including Lucy's family, I believe they wanted him to be held accountable for it. That ended up not happening for whatever reason. I don't think that part was really explained very much, but that played a big part in the mystery and the curiosity of Nikki, the main character that you know we play as in the game. He was really curious about how that all happened, and you know, it just played a really big part of the story that I wish they would have put in the game. It actually gets even crazier. Lucy was friends with Maya. Right here you can see a picture of them hanging out. They were actually part of this cool little group called the Golden Apple, what was it called? I forgot. The Golden Apples I have my little paper here. The Golden Apple Inventors Club. They had these little lockets and stuff like that, and that was really interesting. And this girl right here, she's really not too important to the story, at least not yet. Nothing that I really need to talk about. She's mostly in the second book. Don't you think it's a little irresponsible that the neighbor didn't want to put emergency brakes and safety on all these things? That kind of tells someone that he's a little cuckoo. A little cuckoo, a little off in the head, right? The neighbor's actually bat crazy, alright? I don't know, he has some sort of mental disorder where he just kind of acts normal, then all of a sudden he's not. I don't really know what it is, so I'm not gonna try to pretend like I know what he could possibly have. But it seems like he has multiple personalities, maybe. And we see evidence of this in the game, because in the beginning of Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, he's really happy. And then by Act 1, he's trying to kidnap you, and all of a sudden he's evil. He switches back and forth. Now, I don't know this exactly for sure, but I feel like all the tragedies in his life amplified these mood swings and amplified him to be even worse. There was definitely something wrong. Now let's talk about the neighbor's son, something that never really got talked about at all. We mostly seen the neighbor's daughter, and then of course you know what happened to her. She died. But in the book, Aaron, the neighbor's son, is explained to be smart and actually intelligent for his age. He loved building things, and he loved picking locks. Could you imagine that? He loved picking locks. And also the main character, Aaron, liked picking locks as well, and that's one of the things they bonded over, and you know, they sort of met each other. And I think somewhere along the timeline is, you see the beginning of Act 1 of Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, everything starts out so happy. Like, everything is so great. And here's the part that really doesn't seem to make sense to me, though, is it never explained that the neighbors moved into this house. It looks like from all these boxes that they just moved in here. But again, I think that's kind of a detail that's not really too important to the story. Maybe they just changed it slightly. But you remember, we see Aaron across the street playing with his cars. So at this point, I don't think that they've actually met. But I think it's safe to say this day is when they probably actually met. At nighttime, they just stared at each other's windows, and they were using flashlights and papers to talk to each other because poor little Nikki, you know, just moved into Raven Brooks and didn't have any friends. And that's kind of how they talked about it, and they ended up bonding over picking locks and inventing things. And it was so interesting to learn more about the son and about the main character, because they don't even talk. They don't even talk. I really think that they could have added voices to the game and made it more story driven than it actually was. Instead, it's more gameplay driven rather than the story. But I love the story. I really wish they would have made more about, you know, with the story. Now, I would have to imagine that the neighbor's son took after his dad and wanted to learn how to build things, because that's what his dad did. His dad was good with probably electronics and creating things, as we've seen from what he can do to a house, a normal house, turn it into a circus. And judging by this cutscene, it looks like they had a pretty good relationship. Well, let me tell you, that's all a bunch of lies. Jumping back to this cutscene from Hello Neighbor, we go back to the roller coaster and we see this cardboard cutout of a boy watching us. Now, this is confirmed to be Aaron, like no doubt about it. This is Aaron, the neighbor's son, watching the amusement park, basically, watching the roller coasters, watching things like that. Now, here's my proof. In one point of the book, Nikki stays the night at Aaron's house, and he ends up having to go to the bathroom at night and stumbles in the neighbor's office where he finds these blueprints and papers of him building amusement parks. And it gets a little interesting because he finds this. He finds these pictures of the neighbor's family, and every single one of these pictures that has the sun in it are circled, including this one right here. You can see he's like spying in the background. And right here on this last one, it's super scribbled out and it says Omen. Now, what did we talk about in the beginning of this video? The crows symboling Omen? I'm not saying that the neighbor's son is an actual crow. Yeah, it turns out he just transforms into a crow and they all live happily ever after. But I had to talk about this because clearly the neighbor's son loved watching him build these amusement parks. He loved watching his dad work. He probably really looked up to his dad and wanted to do what he wanted to do. But the neighbor didn't see him that way. The neighbor seen him as an omen and bad luck, and went as far as to circle all of his pictures and is holding a grudge against Aaron. Now, there's actually a lot of parts in the book that reference this and prove that he does that, that I can't really get into to make the story too long as much as I would like to talk about it. There's parts in the book, especially towards the beginning, the neighbor is actually really nice, but he does these weird things, but just out of nowhere, he just kind of just changes his person completely, and even the whole family would get really, really serious, and they kind of knew that he was a little off, but they probably didn't really know why, and it put his family into an awkward situation. So this act towards his son, it's literally just an act. He doesn't really feel that way. He's just kind of playing as the father, but he hates Aaron's guts. And looking at more cutscenes, we can see more proof of this in Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek. It's not really apparent, but you can see it if you look hard enough. This part right here where he's shooting his sister with the toy gun, little meanie, he's obviously taking his anger out because he actually realizes that he's hated by his dad. And right here is kind of proof to me. Look how mad he is. He's like, I don't want to do anything that he says. I don't want to do that. That's just proof of me too. Like the son changes a lot. Even in the book, it goes through the part where his mother dies. And that was one of the most interesting parts to me too. Is like I wanted to see more emotions. Like we don't get to see the reactions and them actually speaking about it and things like that. And the books were such a great thing. That's why I recommend you guys read them. I believe that the son goes through his life knowing that his dad doesn't really like him. And it comes from when the neighbor just randomly snaps into this weird person. It's like really mean and just, he could just be serious until it just snaps out of it, I guess. And now with his mother gone, basically the glue that held everything together, his light in his life, I'm sure, because it was his mother. She was really, really nice. She oddly smoked, though. I found that a little weird. She was a smoker, and you know, just to talk about the wife a little bit, her name was actually Diane Peterson, and she was a 5th grade teacher. She was a teacher. So, you know, we didn't get to see that information in the actual game as well. So I believe after like chapter 2, this is when they start realizing that, hey, our parents haven't came home yet. And they thought that that was really weird. It's like really, really sad. And there's a cutscene that I never seen before until, you know, I started looking up this stuff. I've seen this cutscene, but there was another one I think they added, because they did that with the actual Hello Neighbor game. I don't know why I keep saying real, but it's not the prequel. This part, I'd never seen this before. They're actually looking out. Look, and he's calling. He's like, where are my parents? The line's busy. Like, that's actually really sad. He's like, I don't know. I don't know where the parents are. This is when the mother died. And he's like, all right, let's play. I'm gonna be a big brother and be like, all right, let's get out of this and let's start playing. And it's so sad, man. One of the things I actually can't explain is the raven on her wrist. I think really, I don't think she actually has a tattoo of the raven. I think all that really symbolizes is that things are about to get really dark. It's just the game dropping hints that, okay, bad luck is coming. And obviously this is when their mom died. We know that. And look, she's still, like, while they're playing, she looks out. I don't even remember seeing this part when I played the game. And again, he's just trying to find ways to, you know, help his little sister out. I believe she's a little sister. And then finally, he comes home. I don't know if it's just me, maybe it's just me, but it seemed like that the son was a little reluctant, he was a little hesitant, is probably the right word, to hug his dad. Like, he let her go first. Like, it's just these little subtle hints I feel like are really important to the game. I don't know, probably just me, probably just looking it over. And it seems like this, it's really confusing because his dad looks like he really does care about them. And I believe maybe he does just have split personalities when he actually does care, but the other side of him is crazy and wants to build roller coasters and kill people. Alright? And everything just goes downhill from there. In the book, when the mother died, Aaron completely changed. He completely was just depressed, and we've seen that in these cutscenes as well. I loved how that matched up. And I got to like see more, or I got to read more stuff about that. It got to the point where he wouldn't even hang out with Nikki anymore, the main character of the game. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the dad every night pretty much tortured his son. How could I forget? Hence the screaming that you hear coming from the basement. Oh, let's feel sorry for the neighbor. No, he just got done torturing his little son, Nikki. Maybe he's taking out his anger, his frustrations of maybe the court stuff that happened with the amusement parks, maybe the death of the mother, but yeah. He would go into his basement, and it's not exactly confirmed, but there was basically screams coming out of the basement, and it's Aaron. Like, he's definitely torturing his son every freaking night for whatever reason, and you know, it's gotta be that because he circled and called him a bad omen. I think the neighbor blames the son for the mother dying, and everything wrong that happened in his life was blamed on the son. So I just love how that all connects. And again, she's holding her arm right here. It's I don't know, it's just not a good sign, okay? These kids obviously shouldn't be there. And then we see Aaron just going crazy because he's just frustrated. Because if any kid that's getting, you know, tortured every night and then loses his mother, I would go crazy too. So the only thing he has there is his sister. Now that we know that, it kind of makes a little more sense the way he's acting. In the book, it shows him kind of getting really serious at times, and then he would snap out of it as well, sort of emulating whatever the neighbor does, whatever the dad does. See, like, he immediately changes his tone right here. And he's like kind of sorry, and then he's like, okay, let's play. And then the playing goes way, way too far. And he would do things like trip her. He just started getting really rough. That's gotta be taking out the anger. It's like, my dad, I don't know what his dad did to him in the basement, but it's not good. Ooh, this made me so mad when I would see this because the sister didn't do anything. All she does is just try to help and care. And he sort of feels bad for doing it afterwards, but he has no other choice because, especially as a little kid, they take their anger out on anything, basically. And the sister's so forgiving, it just makes it even sadder, man. Don't you friggin' stop it right now! And look, the neighbor's getting on to him again. He's just like, again he's getting on to me. I'm taking your doll. That's my doll now. And again, a little subtle hint right here is that the neighbor was like, leave him, right? He's just a piece of crap. And in this cutscene, we see Aaron crying under the blankets, probably because he just doesn't know what to do. It's like, what would you do if your mother was gone? And I don't really understand this part too much, but it looks like he just wanted to hide it. I don't think it was his intention to kill Maya. I don't think that that's what he was trying to do. It's the cutest thing ever, man. What has this game got to do this to me? This part I can't quite explain because it sort of seems like this isn't real, but maybe it is. I don't know. It's really kind of confusing to me because it seems like it's not real, but obviously she does die. Like, when was this built? It was clearly an accident that he did that. He was obviously really frustrated, but I don't think he meant to kill her. That's why he looked so surprised. I actually didn't notice this before, but I noticed that there's this big fence around the yard. Now, in Act 1 in Hello Neighbor, we remember seeing the big fence around the yard. So I think that maybe this is when Act 1 started? Because I know in Act 1, Nikki, like, he seemed like he was a little older, but we even seen the missing posters when he was kicking the ball and walking. We seen the missing posters of the children, which kind of leads us to the next thing. What happened to the son? We know what happened to the daughter. And again, I gotta thank Fangirl Vlogs for pointing this out in her video. I did not catch this before. In the last cutscene, we see the neighbor burying something, which I think you would assume it to be the daughter. And the reason why is because this is her shoe right here. I don't know how I missed this, but yeah, I totally did not see her shoe. That is definitely her shoe because the game purposely shows you her shoes just so they could put this in the game at the end. And I think he really loved his daughter. We know he hated his son, but he definitely loved his daughter, and that's why he seemed really sad to be burying her. Now, this further just, like, cements the idea that the neighbor's crazy, because obviously if your child dies, you don't want to bury them in a yard or a random area, wherever this is. You don't want to bury them there. You want to have a funeral and stuff like that. But no, he didn't want to do that. I don't know if that was in defense of Aaron. Perhaps maybe it was to protect his son from getting in trouble, or maybe he didn't want to get in trouble. Considering his actions, I'm pretty sure that he's just trying to cover his own tracks, and he didn't want to be to blame for his daughter's death. And that's the only thing I can think of to explain why he wanted to bury the daughter here. So straight from the ending of Hide and Seek, we jump straight to Act 1 of Hello Neighbor. You can see the missing posters of the children. Now, here's where the book comes into play once again. The neighbor decided to tell the town. This was his alibi, what do you call it? He decided to tell the town that he sent away his kids to an aunt's house across the world, or across the country. He knows good and well that the daughter's dead. He freaking buried her, but yet he's lying to everyone because he's scared. I don't really know why. That part hasn't really been explained yet. And that, of course, leads to a very curious Nikki, the main character of Hello Neighbor. He's really curious, and he basically goes through the books trying to figure out why is he lying about it, and where are the kids? Because Nikki was best friends with Aaron. They were actually best friends, and that they in the first book, they hung out a lot and did a lot of things together. And the scream that we hear right here is a really strong possibility that that is Aaron. Because, I mean, there's no other kids. There's definitely no other kids that he's kidnapping. It's gotta be Aaron. I actually never considered that until Fangirl Vlogs made her video. She was saying that the voices sound really similar. You can only hear the kid's voice in a few cutscenes, but yeah, I mean, once you look back at it, it does actually sound like Aaron. Aaron must be really rebellious towards the neighbors, so he wants to keep him in. And it doesn't help the fact that he doesn't like his son in the first place, so like he just wants to torture him anyway, so he's he's capturing him, and as Aaron's best friend, it's our duty to go looking for him. And we want to know where he is and where the daughter is. Aaron never figures out what happened to Maya. He didn't even know that she died. In fact, I don't even quite know if she's even still dead, to be honest. Like, it says that she died, but what if she didn't? Who knows? That's crazy. Like, I think we need to know more. I think that there's going to be another Hello Neighbor hide and seek game, and I have a good reason to believe that, okay? I just found out today that there's 2 Hello Neighbor books, but there's actually one more coming out, and it's going to be the conclusion of the whole story. But I think that with all this information that we have, there's definitely going to be more Hello Neighbor games, or at least one more game, or some extra chapters to kind of seal the whole deal and talk about what happened to Aaron, because that's the missing link. We know what happened to the daughter, but what happened to Aaron? He just went missing and it never explained exactly what happened. It's the most strangest coincidence ever. Today, when I was on Twitter, after reading these books, Golden Cat on Twitter sent me this screenshot that they found when they were playing Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek. I don't know which version it was. I asked them and they haven't got a response yet, but on the loading screen, this was on there. I've played Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek many times, and not once did I ever get this loading screen. So it's really weird for all of a sudden this loading screen to just pop up. Is it a random thing? We can see the grave right here in the shovel. Obviously the neighbor buried the poor daughter. And what do we have over here? We have the neighbor's son. And he's holding the doll. It's definitely not a coincidence, right? It's definitely not a coincidence that Maya is nowhere to be found. She's obviously in the grave. Or at least that's what they want you to think. This look is like, I know that my dad's crazy, please save me. And that is Aaron's job, to save the poor child. It was my original thought that the neighbor must have killed the son as well, but no, he just kidnapped him, threw him in the basement, tortured him, whatever, and you know, he's just off to fend on his own. So I think that we're gonna get another chapter of some sort, whether it be in the form of a new game or whatever, of his backstory. And it's just so perfect that this loading screen was on there. Like, it's so crazy. Let me end this off once again saying that it was a joy reading these books. I just loved reading them. It reminded me of the days when I used to read the series of Unfortunate of Events. That's literally what it's called. Because it's very similar. It's a mystery. It's a person that is really bad, like, you know, basically an adult figure or whatever that's supposed to, you know, take care of people is actually really bad, and that's exactly how that book goes. So it just reminded me of my childhood when I was in school reading those books. So yeah, don't forget guys, the third one's coming out, I believe in July. It's gonna be coming out. Not sure if that's completely settled or not, but yeah, definitely pick it up. I encourage you to pick these books up, guys, because even though I said a lot of spoilers, I didn't say like all the little twists and turns and all the little details that you get to find in these books. Definitely check them out. They're really cheap and easy to read. So I hope that was coherent. I really hope. Okay, thank Gonzi for making this. Again, thank you to everyone for giving me support at Hello Neighbor. I had a lot of fun just reading these books, and I just hope that we get another game, and I hope that we get more cutscenes with the mother. Okay, she was a really sweet character and important in the book, so it's just not even fair that they didn't even show her face. So maybe perhaps in the next game they'll actually show her face and give me what I want. So that was the story of Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek that you didn't know. But hey, that's just a theory, except I actually read the books. A book theory. Don't forget to drop a comment of what you thought of this theory / book review. It's kind of a weird video that I made, but nevertheless, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. If you did enjoy it, I want you to gently kiss the like button, because it really does help me. Good luck. You could win a signed copy of Hello Neighbor Bijuu style. I'm sorry. Okay, it's time to go. Bye, guys.